Good morning!
I'm your radio teacher,
I am your science buddy.
and I'll give you an exciting lesson that you'll surely enjoy.
Sci Talks Radio. Education must continue.
Learning is a great avenue.
No one will be left behind. With new normal comes new learning.
New method, new way of understanding.
Keep on learning.
Keep on achieving,
There's no way of hindering.
enriching one's dream.
This is Sci Talks Radio, your number one source of science education. Conveying a half an hour of quality scientific teaching on air.
This is
Sci Talks Radio.
Have you ever wondered how can we walk, run, stop, or land a trick when playing games? Really? That sounds great! This time, be happy because we're about to unleash the facts behind gravity and fiction. Another quarter has just ended and we're now on the halfway of concluding this school year. Indeed, time flies so fast, isn't it? Oh yes! By the way, I am your radio teacher, Mom Sharon, your science buddy for today. Be ready for another episode filled with new learnings and discoveries. I can really feel that you're eager to learn something today. So, keep that desire, okay? Just a reminder, listen carefully to the broadcast so you would enjoy the whole episode with fun and excitement. As you listen, take down important notes for your future references. Okay? Let the learning begin. Before we begin, let's have a quick review of our past lesson. Can you still recall it? Wow! That's great! What was it all about? You're right! It's all about explaining the need to protect the tropical rainforests, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps. Do you still remember these land and water forms? Good! What do we mean when we say tropical rainforests? Exactly! It is a rainforest with a high amount of rainfall and no dry season that grows in a tropical region. It is also a home of several species of wildlife and vegetation. An example is the famous Amazon rainforest in Brazil. What about coral reefs? You're right! These are ecosystem of rock formation that was formed out deposit and growth of corals. What about mangrove swamps? Very good. These are trees that are salt tolerant, adapting to salt, and brackish waters, which is mixture of fresh and seawater. In general, why do we need to take an extra effort and time to protect these land and water forms? Exactly! It's because tropical rainforests, coral reefs, and mangrove swamps don't just serve as tourist destinations, but also provide habitats, foods, and protection for several life forms, including humans. Humans, as the highest form of animals, being able to think, have the responsibility to protect and take care of these environments. You really understood our previous lesson. So now, let's have a simple activity. All you have to do is to just say yes if the statement shows care and protection for our tropical rainforests, mangrove swamps, and coral reefs. And no if it doesn't. So simple, right? Oh yes, let's start then. Listen attentively. For the first item, carelessly cut down trees and destroy trees when visiting rainforests. Definitely, the answer is no. For the second item, when at the beach, scatter plastics or other litter along the ocean. Of course, the answer is no again. For the next item, volunteer on cleaning the coral reefs through water waste management. If you said yes, then you're right. Next item, restore damaged rainforests by planting seedlings from the ones being cut down. Very good. The answer is yes. And for the last item, contact the government or agencies when you saw people destroying the rainforests. Great! It is a yes. Did you answer all the items correctly? Wow! That sounds amazing. That means you're now ready for our new lesson. As what I've said, our lesson has something to do with the movements of different objects around us. In short, it's all about the reasons behind how friction and gravity affects the movement of different objects. Sounds interesting, right? So, let's get it on and let the learning begin. Are you aware that there are certain factors that affect the movement of each object? Yes, there is. Just imagine a book sliding on the floor as it being thrown. What do you think will happen next? Will it slide continuously? Or will it stop? If you said it will stop, then you're right. One factor why it stops is what we call friction. What is a friction then? A friction is a force that exists between two surfaces in contact, or it exists when two surfaces rub with each other. Friction occurs in the opposite direction of the motion of the objects. So, as the book moves across the floor, the friction acts in the opposite direction. This force will slow the book and eventually it causes to stop moving along. So cool, right? Remember that there are types of friction. First one is sliding friction. This friction opposes the motion of surfaces sliding past each other. For instance, a book is being pushed by someone. As long as the book is sliding, the sliding friction does not change. If the pushing force increases, the box will slide faster. If the person stops pushing, sliding friction will cause the box to slow down and stop. Did you get it? That's great! Another type of friction is the rolling friction. It occurs when one surface rolls over another. It takes place due to the deformation of surfaces. The amount of friction created by rolling object is less than the friction created by normal force. It is dramatically less than other types of friction, such as sliding friction. Any ball or wheel has rolling friction when rolled on a surface. Some examples of items that have been rolling friction are truck tires, ball bearings, bike wheels, soccer ball, basketball, or baseball. Pretty cool, right? Moving on with the fluid friction. This kind of friction is between a surface and a fluid. For example, water and air are fluids. fluid friction between air and a surface is air resistance. Imagine that you drop a crumpled paper and a flat paper. The crumpled paper will fall faster than the flat paper because the crumpled paper has less surface area facing the oncoming air. Thus, the amount of fluid friction on an object depends on the amount of surface area that faces the oncoming fluid. Is it clear? I can really feel that you still want to know more about friction. So, listen carefully. Friction works against gravity to slow a person's descent on a slide. Friction is a force that occurs whenever two objects rub against each other, such as a slide and a person's backside. Without friction, a slide would accelerate the rider too quickly, resulting in possible injury. Certain materials called lubricants can reduce the effect of friction. This is why water park slides are much faster than the playground slides. The water acts as lubricant. Sitting on wax paper can also reduce the amount of friction. Now that we've filled with so much information regarding friction, let's now move on with gravity. Are you still with me, grade 6 learners? Okay, let's continue learning. Another factor that affects the movement of objects is gravity. Are you familiar with it? Great! Gravity is simply defined as what goes up must come down. Gravity is the natural force exerted between two objects, drawing them toward each other. Therefore, instead of an object such as an apple thrown in the air staying there or floating, it falls down. Weight is extremely important to gravity. Gravity always exerts a force equal to the weight of the object it is acting on. A cup remains on the table because the upward force of the table is equal to the weight of the cup, causing it to stay in place. Another amazing fact, right? Alright! Based on the mentioned fact, do you think friction and gravity really affects the movement of objects? Definitely yes! Let's talk first about friction on how it affects the movement of objects. I repeat, just for an instance, a motorcycle is moving across the road. Without friction, a slide would accelerate the rider too quickly, resulting to possible injury. Thus, friction plays a vital role in making objects move and stop at the same time. After knowing also what gravity means, can you now state the reason how it affects the movement of objects? Wow, that's great! Gravity can cause the object that is thrown into the air to change its upward motion, slow down, and fall back toward Earth's surface. Is it clear? Okay, now that we've done discussing the relation of friction and gravity as it affects the movement of different objects, I'm challenging you now to answer some questions. Are you ready? Oh, yeah! Then, let the exciting question and answer portion begin. What do you call the force that exists between two surfaces in contact or exists when two surfaces rubbled with each other? Correct! We call it friction. Next question. What kind of friction do we refer when one surface rolls over another? Definitely, it's a rolling friction. For the next question, what about the kind of friction that opposes the motion of surfaces sliding past each other? You're right again. It's sliding friction. Moving on to the next question, what do we call the friction that exists between a surface and a fluid? You're right. From the term itself, we call it friction. We call it fluid friction. Next question. How does friction affect the movement of objects? Precisely. Friction allows the movement of object to continue moving or stop. What about gravity? How can it also affect the movement of objects? You got it right again. Gravity can cause an object that is thrown into the air to change its upward motion, slow down, and fall back towards Earth's surface. To understand more our topic for today, we will have a short activity. Don't worry, it's just easy. You can use your science journal or notebook to answer it. Just write F if the statement refers to friction and G if it refers to gravity. Understood? Let's start. For the first item, it is a force that resists motion between two surfaces that are in contact. F or G? Correct! It's F, friction. Number 2, it always acts on opposite direction of motion of an object. Is it F or G? Perfect! It's letter F again, friction. Next, number 3. It is the natural force exerted between two objects, drawing them toward each other. Is it F or G? Very good. It's letter G, gravity. For the fourth item, it is affected by the distance between the objects and the amount of mass. F or G? You got it right again. It's letter G, gravity. And for the last item, the use of water as lubricant reduces this force. Can you identify it? Is it F or G? Nice! It's letter F, friction. To sum it up, kids, let's always remember that friction and gravity affects the movement of objects. Friction can be classified into sliding, rolling, and fluid friction. Gravity also plays a vital role in causing the movements of objects. I know you're now equipped to have your quiz, isn't it? Yes, of course, you really do. At this moment, I hope you have with you now your ballpen and science quiz notebook. Are you ready? So, let's begin. I will read to you a situation. Infer how the friction and gravity affect movements of objects by answering the questions later. A skateboarder just learned to use a half pipe. Drops off the top of one side. She stands straight as she skates down one side and up the other. She expected to get to the top of the other side, but did not make it all the way up. I repeat, a skateboarder just learning to use a half pipe. Drops off the top of one side. She stands straight as she skates down one side and up the other. She expected to get to the top of the other side, but did not make it all the way up. Question number 1. Why didn't she make it to the other side? And number 2, Where was energy lost as the skateboard moved across the half pipe? Did you get it? Great! While jotting down your answers, here is the theme of Radyo Eskwela sa Isabela.
Tayo ay mag-aral sa loob ng ating tahanan. Sa radyo ay mag-tune lang, tiyak ika'y may matututunan. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa upang masigurong bawat bata ay pumapasa. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Pagkat kayo'y kinabukasan, ang pag-asa ng ating bayan, isa pusong pagkatuto nang matupad ang pangarap mo. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa upang masigurong bawat bata ay bumabasa. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela.
Were you able to answer it correctly? Alright, let's check then. For question number 1, why didn't she make it to the other side? The answer is, she did not use enough force to get her to the other side, and friction occurred which slowed her down. For number 2, where was energy loss as the skateboard moved across the half pipe? The answer is, moving the skateboard down the ramp causes energy to be lost to heat due to friction. Did you answer the questions correctly? Wow! Nice! Write your score on the upper right corner of your quiz notebook. I just feel so grateful that you really did an amazing performance. For those who still have further clarifications or confusion, don't hesitate to read and answer the varied activities in your learning activity sheets or self-learning modules, okay? And there you have it! Another fun and exciting episode has just ended. I want to extend my gratitude to you as you continuously exerting time and effort in your studies regardless of the current situation that we have. Of course, let's acknowledge as well the writer of the script, Miss Rachel Parr, and the SDO Isabela RBI production team. Once again, I am your radio teacher, Ma'am Sharon, saying, just like objects, we humans are ought to move, but always choose the path that leads to what is fulfilling in God's eyes. Keep moving forward amid the pandemic. Bye, kids! Stay safe!
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang may iwan.
Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela!